King. That's it. Who's in charge? Yep. Right. Good evening, everybody. Oh, is this working? Yeah, it is working. Yeah. Right. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining the meeting tonight, Fiona. Thank you. Planning meeting of Froome Town Council. My name's Steve Tanner. I'll be chairing this evening. Want to make our meetings available to as many people as possible, so we're using a hybrid setup of here in the Town Hall chamber and online via Zoom. Yeah, we're still on.
We're still online.
We're still online. We're just not live streaming. For those in the room, little housekeeping. Emergency exits are in the rear corner of the room. Assembly points in the car park. Toilets can be accessed at the end of the corridor on the right-hand side, or there is an accessible toilet to the right of the lift. Panelists on Zoom, please use the electronic raise hand by clicking on the participants button at the bottom of your screen. For those in the room, please raise your hand. For attendees on Zoom, please post questions through the Q&A boards. Attendees' names will become visible on the questions board for the record as your question is answered. For those attendees in the room, please raise your hand. Tonight, Catherine's going to clerk and Becca will be managing the questions board on participant settings. The meeting will be recorded for minuting purposes and we'll also upload recording to our YouTube channel. Great. Any questions, comments, information from the public first? We're not discussing. You're welcome to you. Anything on the chat board? No. Great. And councillors? Do that at the end. I've done we're doing AOB, yeah. No. Great. To agree, apologies of absence received. I've got apologies from Polly Lamb. She's not very well. Good time. Yes. So you got nothing else, Becky? I think that's it. Right. So if someone could propose that, Fiona. Thank you. So it's carrying. Thank you. Any declarations of members' interests?
Yes. Application 365 is owned by my landlord and the applicant is a friend. So I will not comment on that one.
Okay. Yeah. Good. Next item, to agree the minutes of the meeting held on the 23rd of November 2023. Has anybody got any issues? No. Thank you, Mark. Proposed by Mark, seconded by Philip. You weren't there. Okay, so that's majority, I guess. Next item, consider major plan applications received. Catherine, over to you.
Yeah, except let's nick my notes on my pen.
The notes and your pen.
Have we not got the fast screen operation?
Let's say, there's your notes.
Thank you.
There's your pen.
Oh, no.
Okay, we'll just have to crane our necks.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't. She's good, isn't she? Right, oh, hang on. Right, are we ready?
Yeah.
The first one we're discussing is 370, land at 378130 Locks Hill. So it's behind number 12, and it's the erection of 2 dwellings, use class C3, and the associated works. As you can see, the current site is on the left, and it's 2 rows of garages facing each other, tucked away behind the bungalows on that face Locks Hill. And the applicant is proposing 2 matching semi-detached houses, as in there's two units, not 2 lots of. The ground floor plan on the left and the first floor plan on the right. They're actually going to be quite tall, so there's a second floor plan as well, and then the roof plan showing the dormer and Velux windows proposed. This is the plan in context, and then the roof plan in context next to it. So you can see, again, bungalows, housing facing Locks Hill, there's housing behind, and there's longer gardens to the sides. And then these are the proposed elevations. and the proposed site section. So you can see that the land actually slopes quite a lot back towards Locks Hill, which then again slopes down towards town. So the houses will be quite prominent above the bungalows at the front, and as well, as well as the gardens behind, and they will be equal in height to the houses on Portway Gardens. So I think that will probably cause overbearing issues to the people behind and overshadowing to the people in front. There's been objections from lots of neighbours, and Helen Kay has also objected based on overshadowing, overbearing, just simply that the houses are too tall in the site that they are in. The applicant could have done with doing some better site sections, and maybe some path diagrams as well would have been useful to see how overshadowing, overbearing they potentially would be. I personally think 1 or 2 stories would be better than 3 stories. I think the tall roof line is what's tipping it over the edge, just because the houses on Portway are so much taller already. To match that, they're quite tall. The Civic Society as well have objected. Thank you, Steve. The Civic Society have objected as well, on the same basis that the houses are fine, but the site they're in is potentially not suitable.
Can you just go back to that overhead for us?
This one? Yeah.
Catherine and I were on site earlier on. This garden, you reference this garden here. That wall that goes along the back there, that garden is probably about, I would say, 6 to 8 feet lower than the surface. So that's going to look a long way down. Just for you know, just because you don't see that from the plans, no.
No, a topographical survey probably should have been done to really see.
We've got level. Do you want to say anything at this point?
Yes, okay. Just talking on here, aren't we? Yeah. Hold it right close.
Yeah, just because
I'm a neighbour, so I'm at number 16. So I'm the second. I'm in that corner. So I'm the next one in of number 14, which is directly on it. I all simply wanted to say that I don't I don't think that the style of building is appropriate to the area that we live in. It's the path of least resistance. Properties in Portway Gardens and the like, those properties aren't representative of this town. As I said in my letter to Catherine, actually, John Harris's article in The Guardian, talked about us sleepwalking into a dormitory town, and a simple solution to housing is not what this town is about. And more importantly, the street view it'll have a huge impact. I know you don't want to talk about that, the blue area, but Crossman Acquisitions will have invested heavily in buying that site, the bungalows and that garage. They will have also bought the Ransom Strip from Newland, the Newland developers from the old site. So they've invested heavily in this, and they will want a cheap solution so that they get a maximum profit in getting their money back. Not least the fact that those properties are perpendicular perpendicular to the street scene. So you will initially have a large rendered gable staring you from the street, and then that asks the question, what is going to happen to those bungalows, which you may not want to ask that question. It's the design of the properties which I think is wrong. They don't represent anything other than cheap building. And then a lot of the objections refer to parking on Locks Hill. Now, I know that's not a planning consideration, but actually from a community aspect, that Locks Hill is very dangerous. More cars parked there will only encourage people to people will drive far in a fast way, and there will be accidents. And even the Toro operation didn't seem to concentrate its efforts on Lox Hill, as far as I was aware of, anyway. And in conclusion, I just think it's it's far too high. The reference of 15 Portway Gardens being some sort of datum point is completely wrong and inappropriate. The folk at number 8, as Steve just said, the houses backing onto them are an appropriate datum point for this development. It's certainly not 15 Portway Gardens. It's way out. They've offered 15 Portway Gardens simply because it's an easy dig to get out of that site. If they dug it in, then it would be better for everybody. And as I think Catherine made the point, if it was a 2-story house, houses would be better. Or even, since we have a passion for building unique set dwellings in this town in certain locations, you could have a walled garden, a nice looking individual single dwelling with a nice garden, and it could be very attractive, and it would suit the area with a good planting scheme. This is not what it's all about.
Great, thanks very much. Thanks very much, Neville. Fiona, over to you.
I couldn't find anything about the sustainability of them. Are they making any suggestions in terms of PV installation, heat pumps, etc.? Is it all just bog standard?
I haven't seen anything.
I haven't seen anything. I just wonder whether there was anything.
No, I don't think so. I think
Okay.
it'll just be, well, they'll have to be to building regulations anyway, which are getting more stringent in the new year, but I don't think they're doing anything above and beyond.
Andy.
Can I just ask, the existing garages, are they actually in use? They are in use.
There
So,
were some locks on them. When we
yeah, so effectively we're displacing parking as well as creating additional parking issues.
It's not,
Yeah, just doesn't feel right.
Anyone else? Philip?
Yeah, this is on my ward. I'm Keithford Ward. The design of house to me seems totally inappropriate for that particular site. And although there may be concerns about which way round it should be, whether it should be another 90 degrees facing down the road, I tend to agree with that. But I think what concerns me more is the height aspect. I don't think there's been any consideration as to what impact that's going to have to neighbours, gardens overlooking, and also the actual view that you're getting from the road across, and not only from the road, but also people opposite on Lox Hill and going into Butler's Gardens. So to me, it literally will stick out like a sore thumb, and I don't think it's appropriate at all.
Thanks so much. Fiona again.
I'm not the one that looks at the design of anything. I just want to say, this isn't the houses that we need. It's 3 bedrooms. As you say, cheap build, no sustainability or sort of attempt at that from what we can see. It's not what Frome needs, and I agree that the height is overshadowing. And yeah, from what Helen Kay's statement says, that the bungalows are in the private rented sector, at least one with an elderly resident.
Okay, thank you.
I think we should object.
Great. Anybody else? No comments? No more? That was pretty quick. Do you want to say it?
I've
I've got pretty much down what most people think, so
Yes.
you have as well, yeah?
Yes. So if you'd like to vote on it, please do so.
Well, hang on, let's just go through, the reasons why we're objecting. Okay, so overbearing, overlooking, the Portway houses are not a good reference point, or certainly the height or the design of this. They should really take something on Lox Hill, which is much more in keeping with the town. I agree with that. And the height of them and the type of housing is really not what we're after. I think Helen suggested that, if they were to dig down 1.5 meters or something like that and then build, then it'd be fine. Or allotments. Okay. Not a reason for objecting, unfortunately, Fiona.
Also, it is hard standing. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know if you've been around there. It's about 8 inches of concrete. But,
I don't think,
yeah.
physically, I don't think you'll get.
So, thank you, Andy. I was just about to ask that. And thank you, Fiona, for seconding. I think,
Can I abstain only because I haven't been here for the whole conversation?
yeah.
Because there's still a
So that's
majority.
majority, hence.
So you're all fine. Oh, Helen, sorry, Helen's just.
Oh, is she? Does Helen want to say something? A bit late, we've already voted. So.
Helen, we've already voted, but if you'd like to say something, please do. Oh, sorry, I didn't realise.
Hi, Helen, can you hear us? No.
Helen?
She's got it on mute.
Sorry, I just wanted to add another reason, but you voted unless you can vote again, which is the potential loss of amenity for the existing residents that use the parking facilities at the moment.
Yeah, we did mention that, didn't we?
Yeah, we've got that one.
No. Okay, beg your pardon.
I think we got that, Adam.
Right, sorry.
All right. Thanks very much.
I don't know how the ownership works, but it's still a loss of amenity because they currently own those they currently have access to those garages and currently park. I presume they park there. So they are losing the amenity. However, we have no input over land ownership. If they've sold them, if they've
Yeah, I was asking the question about ownership of the land and just making sure that we're not saying that people can park on other people's land.
No, people can't park on other people's land. It's just the loss of amenity for those who currently do use it for parking. But ownership, not our business.
Yes.
Not our monkeys, not our circus.
Right. Shall we move on?
Yes.
Therefore, you're more than welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting.
And that's the.
We won't. But yeah, thanks. Good to see you again.
Loss of amenity, and that's the parking. Right.
Apologies for being late.
It's okay.
That's all right.
Right, I'll go back to the beginning then. Are you staying for the rest, Helen? No.
So though we're not live streaming, it is being recorded. So.
I don't know what you're going to discuss, but I'll stay if yeah. I'm not sure what you're going to talk about. Yeah, I usually just listen in. Yeah.
Okay, the next one that we're going to discuss is 92 Oakfield Road, which is a proposed single-storey rear extension and dormer extension to the second floor, plus the ancillary works. I've put this one in and number 5 Oakfield Road, just because they're kind of matching applications. They're both very large dormers, and they're on the same road, although one is in the modern extension to the road at the top, and the other is the Victorian terraces at the bottom. Can't remember which one's which though, but I'm sure I'll find out when I start speaking. Okay, so here's the site plan and location plan to the left, and as you can see, it's the second house in the row of terraces. It's currently, this one must be the Victorian one. It's currently a living room. I'm so sorry. It's currently 3 floors plus attic space, which they're obviously hoping to extend into, with a modern extension, extension to the rear, similar to lots of the other houses in Frome. So existing elevations, as you can see, it's terrace. They've done a section through the main house. Then you can see the extension to the left and rear extension as well.
That is the existing, is it, with the dormer already there?
Yeah, it's got a dormer to the front. And it's got an original dormer to the front,
Yeah.
but they're applying to reconfigure this rear extension and put on another dormer to the rear.
Okay.
Which you can see it in the, maybe they're missing an elevation. That's very odd. I don't think they've uploaded the other elevation. And then this is what they're applying for. So to ratify, that is definitely I double checked it. That's the architects put the wrong tag on the drawings. So they are looking to ratify the rear extension, just generally improving it, I think. Extend upwards into that, and then reconfigure the second floor bedroom. Yeah, because it's currently eave storage. They're making it a bedroom with a smaller bedroom / study and an ensuite. And as you can see, that is the proposed south elevation now. So it's quite a large dormer within the roof, and then the changed extension to the left. And then you can see it in the you can see how big it is in the roof plan. It takes up pretty much the whole roof. And then there's the proposed dormer in elevation as well.
And that's effectively on the 3rd floor, isn't it?
Yes, so there's been some neighbour objections due to overlooking. If I go back to the site plan, then I think there's been neighbour objections regarding overlooking to the gardens, and I think the Civic Society as well have objected based on the size and scale of it. Let me just double check before I say that with any great certainty.
Just 92?
Yeah, 92. Oh, they've not got no objection in principle, but they think it's really visually significant. Yes. There you go.
This line, they're taking the ground floor rear extension across the full width as well, aren't they?
Yes. Or just under the full width. Did they put a... Oh no, yeah, full width. Sorry, I misread where the boundary was.
Isn't this has happened before, isn't this another example of calling it a dormer when in fact it's actually an extension? Because to me, once it gets to that size, you are extending the room. And in some cases, we know that rooms have been extended by 50, 60, 75%. So the reference of dormer to me is misleading, because I think that is very large. You know, if we discuss it as a dormer, then yes, it is very large. But if we discuss it as an extension of living space, then that's something completely different.
Yes.
Do we know, Catherine, if any other houses along that strip have done anything similar?
No, that particular terrace haven't got any dormers. They have got veluxes, so they're definitely using the loft spaces,
But they haven't put.
but they haven't put dormers on.
Right.
So it would be setting a precedent for the area, or for the strip anyway, for the terrace.
In other Victorian properties, terraces in Frome, this is quite common,
Yes.
isn't it? So it's not out of keeping with what happens in Frome to Victorian terraces. And I've certainly seen ones similar to that size along the 3 terraces of Wallbridge, Victoria, and Avenue. So is it that if it's not in the area, then there's no precedence for the area or the type of building?
If there's precedence, but weird. If there's no similar houses with no similar features, there's no precedent for it in that particular area. But we can say there are other Victorian houses, properties in Frome with dormer extensions, so there's precedent for that. They're just not on this particular row. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Have we got our elevation of the proposed from the rear, so we can see that the window? That's it.
Yeah, that's the rear. So I think it's the size of
That
it.
window, is that, it's sort of pretty much floor to ceiling, isn't it, that window?
Yes.
Certainly floor to.
It does look like it's set in, which would diminish, if I'm reading it correctly. It does look,
Can I just ask a question? This,
That's at the front.
so it's that we're talking
yes, I'm talking about the grey one.
I'm not talking about that bit there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think you're right, Catherine, in that the window is set in so that it's not, it's kind of,
The overlooking or help to minimize it,
yeah,
because obviously you're not as forward.
yes.
That's how physics works.
Can I just add something? There is a design access statement on there. So they are saying They say that in the roof there's currently very little insulation, and that there are plans to address this by installing as much insulation as possible to meet current building regulation standards. And wherever possible, the following will be adhered to, which is lots of lovely stuff that we would want to see. They do make the point that natural daylight is obviously energy efficient and makes the space much more usable, and also the health of the residents and the provision. I mean, I think they're going a little bit far, but, you know, there's sort of provision of sort of, you know, it will make it a better place to live, which I think is a good point. But I'm not sure how much they're actually going to do in terms of the insulation and stuff. They're just sort of saying things.
Steve, can I come in there?
Yeah, sure. Sorry.
As somebody who's had a bedroom up in the 3rd floor of a Victorian terrace, I can tell you that you can't have enough insulation in there. It is freezing.
Because we can't see the overlooking, can we? Without going,
No, without going
yeah,
into
into it.
that, and it doesn't exist, so
No,
there's no.
no. I mean,
No, there's not a window there at the moment, I don't think. It's just, no, it's just roof.
see, I think this is very different to the next one.
I think they're, yeah, they're similar but different.
Yeah.
I think they're really
See, I'm
interesting.
inclined not to object to this one, subject to the case officer going and checking the overlooking situation, how far back that window is set.
I'm less worried about the development on the 2nd floor than I am about the big ground floor extension and the potential party wall issues with neighbours coming right out to that edge. Seems a bit aggressive.
If one were inclined to overlook neighbours, you could certainly do it from 2 other windows. It's if you were desperate to spy on your neighbours, it would already be happening.
They do have quite long plots. So if anything, having the larger ground floor extension would minimise the overlooking because they wouldn't be able to see.
And the setback window means that the perspective, you wouldn't be able to see as far around. It's mostly down your lawn, probably.
Sorry, I've just seen. Could I just say there is a comment on here from a neighbour that says that this includes, but not shown on plan, a requirement for the demolition of our party wall, for which I am dissenting. Also, the 2nd floor plans include dormer roof, which will overlook my garden, further diminish my privacy. But I think, yeah, there's clearly an issue with the party wall.
So the neighbour doesn't have the neighbour doesn't have to accept the party wall work. They can just say no. So that'll be up to them to sort out between themselves with a party wall agreement or not.
So that definitely needs to be addressed, doesn't it?
Yes.
Are you saying that's not a planning consideration?
No,
it's a
it's-
civil
Yeah, that's
action.
between them and surveyors and things. We can't. Yes.
Right, so where are we on this one? Okay, so I'm minded not to object, subject to the overlooking being checked and the party wall situation being resolved satisfactory to all parties.
Yeah.
Okay. So, anyone else? No issues with that?
No objection.
So no objection, subject to the conservation. Not to. Oh, it's a conservation area. Subject to no overlooking. Okay, would you vote on that,
And
please?
the party wall situation
no
being
overlooking and
party wall situation being addressed satisfactorily. Right, so I'll propose that. I'll propose that. Yeah. Unanimous, Becky.
Okay, so
Right, should we go the other end of Oakfield Road?
the other end of Oakfield Road, we've got the matching pair. This is number 5 Oakfield Road, which is for a single-storey side and rear extension. And yes, it's 381, sorry, and it's the rear dormer loft conversion. So let me just find it in my notes. And the Civic Society are also objecting to this one, again, due to the size. So this is the site plan. It's much further down Oakfield Road, and it's a semi-detached, what looks to be 1950s, 1960s sort of house from the images. Currently a very simple layout, ground floor on the left, second floor, first floor on the right, and again, an extra kitchen utility sort of area to the rear.
Can you just bring up that ground plan again, the first shot?
That one?
That one. 'Cause I think that shows that it backs on to Broadway Community Gardens.
Yes.
In which case, probably Fiona and I should remain silent on it. Okay.
No,
Oh, is this? Oh, I don't know what this one is then.
Yeah, I know too.
Yeah, we don't, okay. Well, actually, because we're probably going to know more than anyone else, maybe we shouldn't.
you can, if you
Steve,
have to vote.
as Vroomtown Council, does Vroomtown Council own the land? So don't we all have to have special dispensation?
The town council own the land of Brewell.
Yes.
Oh, right.
That just makes us, we don't benefit either way from this.
No,
So I think we're okay.
we have no benefit or loss.
I think we're okay then to not do anything with it.
We own this.
Yeah, we own, yes, and that.
That green bit.
Yeah, we own that. No, the path comes in here, but that's in the corner of Broadway Community Gardens.
I'm not sure we can.
I don't think we can.
Well,
Well, the thing is, okay, if we discuss this now, then we could be accused of leading someone to form an opinion.
that's fine then.
And I'm not comfortable with that without some sort of reference from Paul or a signed dispensation, which we haven't done, and I don't think we can do it retrospectively.
That's fine. We won't talk about this one. I will
Yeah.
speak to Paul and I'll bring it to the next
Yeah.
planning meeting, and I'll email the planning
Yeah.
officer to say we're not talking about
Is
it.
everyone happy with that?
Thank you,
Yeah.
Catherine.
You're welcome. I didn't realise that was Broadway at the
No,
rear.
no,
I was
you
like,
can't.
oh, there's no overlooking because it's got a garden to the back.
So just for clarity's sake, in case that didn't get picked up by the mics, we realised that Vroomtown Council actually own a part of the land to the rear of this property. Therefore, the committee doesn't feel comfortable in discussing this without having special dispensation signed, which we haven't done. Therefore, we won't be discussing this one tonight. We'll defer it to our next planning meeting.
That's fine.
Thank you. Over to you, Catherine, for the next one.
Right. Go through it. That's Locks Hill, which we've already spoken about. So the final one is the old presbytery. Presbytery, that's still wrong. At 2 West End Court, positioning of a caravan studio within the curtilage of a listed building.
Is this Mel's Autos?
Yes, so you should all know it very well because it's Mel's old house, which he no longer lives in, so you're fine to talk about it.
Can I just clarify an interest? I live pretty close. I'm okay, am I? Yeah. Okay.
No, you're not even on the map, Fiona.
Just not. Yeah. I was trying to work out which house I was. No, it's okay.
out your window, you might think.
Yeah.
Right, we decided that Fiona.
This is a really funny area. So this is Iron Lane, isn't it? That's Melrose House? Or is that Melrose House?
That's Melrose, number 21.
Yeah, and that's the new building at the back of Melrose House, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
So
I should never have had planning permission.
And that's the one where they're doing the.
Wonderful extension.
Yeah, amazing.
Really good
So
extension.
good.
Yeah. Sorry?
Just looking at my head, I'm quite at the top.
Yeah. says 1 to 7.
Yeah. You're right.
Right, well done for sharing your address with us from Fiona. Yes. So they've applied for a caravan in the garden. In principle, I've got no objection to it. However, it shouldn't be a listed building consent because they're not actually doing works to the listed building. It should be planning permission for something in the curtilage of the listed building, which I believe the Civic Society have said in their note that I sent to you earlier. And also, it's not a caravan. It's just, but you don't have to have wheels to be a caravan, but you have to. It does help.
It has to be craned in and out.
It has to be self-contained. So this has got an electrical connection, but nothing else.
Okay, so because there's power connected to it, that makes it not a caravan. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying it doesn't have everything else that you need to live in it. A caravan has to be a livable structure.
Oh, okay,
So you've got just having an electrical connection is not enough.
right.
My reading of the thing that they put up, it's a shed.
Right,
It's just,
so
it's a
there's
shed.
two
It's not.
issues on this, isn't there? So the first thing, is it or is it not a caravan, which quite frankly is not really
It's not.
neither, right. But that, it's not really neither here nor there, is it, quite frankly?
Is that not the crux of it? Because they say if it's a caravan, it doesn't need some sort of permission. And if it is a more permanent structure, i.e. a wooden studio building in the gardens, then it would need
Planning permission.
full planning
Yeah.
and listed consent and conservation area. I think that's what I think that's what the applicant's relying on to
They originally
short circuit this application.
They originally applied for a certificate of listed building, but then when I went back to a certificate of lawful permission, but when I went back to double check the application, it was then changed to a listed building consent. So I don't know if Somerset changed it or they, but either way, it's just not a caravan, is it? As a studio, they don't specify, just a hobby studio.
Studio workshop. I mean,
Some
I see one of the objectors is concerned that I have heavy machinery in there, which
which
bit tenuous, but
if they do have heavy machinery, that'll be limited by planning permission, because you're not allowed to. So that's
Yeah,
the site-
sorry, Karen.
This came up as an issue on Keeford Ward, and there were some concerned residents because someone was proposing to put in a caravan as a temporary measure while building works was going on within the main building. And as Catherine says, they were allowed to, this was on wheels and it was moved into the garden, and they were allowed to connect electricity to it, but I went through this with Jane, but not other services. And they were allowed to have it without planning permission for the period of time that it was taking to renovate the house. But they would be using the toilets and bathrooms and so on within the house. It's since transpired that that may not be the case, because again, it's the concern is that it's a way of circumnavigating planning. So we need to be very, as Mark says, I think we need to be very clear as to, is it a caravan and what's the use of it, or is it a semi or permanent structure,
also the
therefore defined as something else?
main point of a caravan is that it is temporary. It is a movable structure. This is going to have it's going to sit, it's going to be sited. It's going to be a hobby studio / overflow accommodation, so it's
It's a permanent structure.
it's permanent by that logic, I'd argue.
So if they were to come and apply to build this structure in the grounds of the old presbytery, without calling it a caravan, they would need to apply for planning permission because it's in a conservation area and it's a listed building.
Yes. And I don't think, obviously, depending on what they applied for, we'd have to have a look at the application. But I don't think we would have. Looking at this plan as they've applied, I can't see any issue with a shed, a similar shed in the.
Yeah.
What's this?
I think it's a shed.
Is that pretty much exactly the same thing that they will be replicating with a caravan. That looks quite similar.
Yeah, as does the garage that is there.
So the first thing is we think that they need to apply for planning permission for the structure, whatever it is, whatever you want to call it,
Yes.
caravan, shed, workshop, whatever. Yeah. So that's the first point, isn't it? Okay.
But they can pick it up and move it should they wish. And does a shed need planning permission if it doesn't have foundations?
Shed needs planning permission in a conservation area or within a listed building. Curtilage, thanks.
And does this have planning permission?
Got no idea, but it's existing.
It's already there.
Okay.
If, as we know, this house has been recently sold, I'd imagine that has had to be, if it doesn't have planning permission, it will have had to be ratified anyway through the sale. So, yes, it must have planning permission.
So just moving on from that, do we now then discuss whether we think putting a structure, whatever it's called, in there is right or not? Do we want a discussion now, or do we want to wait until?
I think we send it back. We object to this on the basis that it needs planning permission, end of.
Yep, fine. No, agree, I've just thrown it out there very well.
Happy?
Yep.
Would you like to vote?
I'm against.
You're against, okay?
Yeah.
We're objecting.
No, I'm.
You don't want to object?
I don't want to object.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
Yep, okay.
So that's
Majority.
majority, that's 5 and 1. Okay, yeah, 5 and 1, please, Becca. And that is it, unless there's anything else you'd like to talk about.
What did you say about,
Oh, yes. I thought that one might come up, but I didn't include it in the PowerPoint, so just bear with me a second.
just mention that one as well.
Oh, there's the heat pump, yes.
Is that the one I was thinking about? No, that one. The,
Oh, the air conditioning unit,
Yeah.
okay.
Covered in sparkles.
Oh,
Hair and sparkles.
right, the high street is, I don't know why I'm sparkling. The hair is probably from me, but I'm in cat hair. Right. Can we see my screens? No, hang on, let me just change the screen. Yeah, they're just sharing the wrong screen, that's why you can't see it. Okay, so this one already has permission. I think the application's a bit confusing. So they already have permission for those dormers. However, they've started uncovering the roof and realised the dormers, where they want to site the dormers, there's nothing underneath. So they've made them bigger to sit on the wall rather than on the roof timbers. Who's got photos? Did you say there's photos in the design and access statement, Fiona? So they are quite high up, obviously because that road's so narrow. So it's this existing one, I think, that needs.
The one that stands out like a carbon.
Yeah, that'd be the one.
I think that's it, because it's retrospective, isn't it?
I've already built it.
Yeah.
But they had planning permission for it. Oh, I see. Yeah, I see. I didn't realise it. Oh, so the application was quite confusing. I thought this was it and they wanted to make this bigger because they've discovered it's wrong. That's what I was confused about. Okay, that makes absolutely more sense.
Go down a little bit more. Let's stop. So those are all the existing dormers, which match a very nice conservation area street scene. And then there's that.
But they all seem to be set back, so they're presumably sat on,
Yes. Yeah.
they're presumably sat on roof timbers anyway, rather than the walls.
You got any residents?
I think this, see how this one's lower? I reckon this row was built.
Oh, right, I see what you mean.
There's, I think they're slightly different design's
Yeah.
bigger, it's a slightly different style.
Yeah, they're
So I
not all
think that
part of the
one's-
same development.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, 'cause they-
Michael Dunst raised concerns about us from the conservation officer to look at it.
I think that's a very fair point. I think you do. Yeah.
Do you want to object to it or just to no comment, conservation officer deal with it? You can do both. Yep.
Yeah. Don't like retroactive, basically.
No, I think
Yeah, I think, I think we object, and subject to the conservation area officer having a very close look at it.
It's a bit contrary to the whole point of having
Yeah.
a conservation area, when you can just go and do something like that. I think the elevations
that have been provided, it shows existing and then proposed. So they're saying that the existing is what they built, what they were granted, sorry. And what they're then proposing is this, which they've already built.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it looks like what's happened is the builder, whoever has started building, realised that for whatever reason they couldn't put the vertical of the dormer where they wanted to because there's no support, so they've just built it bigger.
So, just looking at the detail. It actually says the application is for a replacement front dormer and new retrospective rear dormer windows, which implies that they're looking to do a replacement of of that front dormer that we were just looking at, and also they want retrospective approval for something they've already built at the back.
Which we can't see. I don't think that's a clear application. And also, we get this a lot in the conservation area, that people just do things and then expect us to just say, well, it's fine because it's already built.
Yeah, I think we go what we already said.
Yeah,
Subject to
object.
conservation area officer. Sorting it out.
Happy to propose that.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Philip.
Okay, and what was the next one you wanted to have a look at? The
Well, I just thought we should do 90 Weymouth.
90 Weymouth Road.
Yeah, just because it's a variation of conditions, which again is I think this is the one you need to
So this is the,
back out of. Kelly.
get in the corner, Fiona.
So this is just about where the aircon unit goes.
It's the air conditioning unit, and they've made this wall at the rear slightly curved because they found a drain underneath it. So they've changed the wall slightly to allow a build over application.
It's right up next to the neighbour, isn't it? It's right against the neighbour's wall. I'm not sure the sound mitigation would be sufficient to stop that drumming away all the time. Apparently it's like a dishwasher going on all the time.
Yeah, it's going to be a low hum, isn't
It'd
it?
be a low hum, which would be quite irritating. It looks like the sound baffling isn't going to mitigate that too much, but we're not experts in that.
Yeah, I think if the AC unit was just positioned somewhere else,
Yeah,
maybe on the other side of the bay window, it would just be better.
Yeah, totally agree.
Just to protect the neighbours' amenity, because what it is just going to be annoying to open your front door and hear a dishwasher going.
Well, it's not that it's going to be going all night, isn't it, as well?
Yeah.
You know, in the summer, because the aircon's
Yeah.
running.
Can I just say I have an ongoing situation on my ward regarding cooling units, cooling fans, and that now has gone through at least 4, if not 5, further mitigations of dampening. And in fact, in the last case, it's made it worse, not better. And that's very close to residents, 9 meters away from their living space and bedrooms. And once something like this is installed, it's incredibly difficult to dampen it, to mitigate against it.
Isn't this going to be treatment rooms? I can't imagine that the air conditioning would be running. Or is it for the whole? Okay. Okay.
Well, I think they have.
Yeah.
I think they have specified that that air conditioning unit is just for the spa area.
So that little room that seems to be set into the wall when you're next to the aircon unit, does that say plant?
Yes.
Because my guess would be that that's what they're trying to air condition, that's the heat generating plant, and that's why they need the air conditioning there. So it may be less effective if it's moved to the other side, but that's their problem rather than ours.
That's for them to explain, isn't it? I think we have to be conscious of the neighbour. Yeah. First and foremost.
Having grown up with air conditioning my whole life, it can be quite an annoying hum.
Yeah, it's weird we don't have more air conditioning in the UK. Was it weird to move here and be like,
No, because your weather's not warm enough. But 35-degree summers. Yeah.
Did we get that then, Catherine? So we're objecting, we'd like to see it in a different spot.
yes, object,
Protect
but
the
you
neighbour.
will need to vote on that, please?
I think, sorry, just before, I don't think it'll affect the vote, just a comment to make. I think that this is an issue that we might be seeing more and more of. And I think we really do need to be mindful of the effect it has on people. Because even though sound readings may be taken, the actual sound level is what is termed as, when reports are written, within acceptable limits. But it's the fact that it's a constant low hum is the issue, in a lot of cases, 24 hours. So it's something perhaps, we will probably revisit many times, but perhaps something we need to look at more closely.
It's a similar situation with air source heat pumps. Yeah. Okay, anything else?
You need to vote on that one, please.
Okay, someone propose that. Thanks, Philip. Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Becky.
Amazing.
Great.
Just to take the vote on the balance.
Yep. Take the vote on the balance, please. So Catherine's comments or no comments on all the others. Thank you, Fiona. Thank you, Andy. Great. That's that. Right. Last item on the agenda is AOB. And this is down to Fiona.
Historic England have released a consultation paper on climate change and historic building adaptation that Steve sent me twice to ask me to read. So I got the hint, and I did. And I just wonder whether I think that Jane is putting comments in, and I just wanted to add my feedback, if that's okay.
I'm going to meet with Jane and Catherine, I think.
And Sally.
Tomorrow early afternoon. I know Jane has been reading this and made comments. So
Can I just add my general thing? It doesn't go anywhere near far enough. What is the point in preserving buildings if they're going to be underwater or have their roofs blown off in 20 years' time because of climate change? There's no point. And it's just some of the things I do understand, but there's some stuff that is, so I'll point out a few specific things. There's really good stuff on terms of windows, which is really good. What is not so good is PV panels will generally not be acceptable on principal roof slopes if they would be visible and would detract from the building's special interest. I just think stuff like this, PV panels do not damage roofs. Like, they can be taken off and on again. It's not a big issue personally. And so this sort of, not talk about principal views, then the changing of boilers, heating and hot water systems and installation of heat pumps is generally acceptable, but what is not acceptable is installation, and you can't install heat pumps unless you've got installation. So I don't really know what they're doing about that. And where panels can be mounted on outbuildings or on land associated with listed building, provided they're not of greater prominence, this would generally be preferable to their installation on the buildings themselves. Like, it's just so, like, it's just stupid, to be honest.
This is
Sorry.
a consultation.
The latest thing Fiona's angry about, it's just annoying. Like, I just think, come on, like, we've got a climate, the key is climate crisis, climate emergency. It's not like climate, a little bit of concern.
Yeah.
It is a genuine emergency, and they're just, like,
Okay.
faffing around.
As I said, so we will formulate a response on behalf of Frome Town Council. Can I ask you to either leave them with me or send them to Jane, send your comments to Jane?
I'll send them to Jane.
And we will formulate a response which, when does it need to be in by, Catherine? Christmas Eve.
However, my last working day is the 23rd.
Okay. Well,
so
we will,
you're in before then.
I'm sure we can get our joint comments to the committee prior to Christmas, so we can all have a look at it before it goes out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, fine.
Excellent. Next meeting is on the 11th of January 2024. So yeah, so Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Oh, it's not on the 24th of January.
I said 11th of January, didn't I?
Oh, sorry. I thought you said 24. Oh, 2000.
2024.
I was going to say, there is one on the 24th as well, I think.
Did you have a good lunch?
I'm so tired. I drove from Manchester, Dave.
Oh, no. Right, on that note then, thank you all, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and good night. See you in the new year.
And also congratulations to Hannah for when you watch this back next week.